Hey guys, it's been 8 months since my last video, and the thing is, it hasn't really felt like 8 months. But there's been a lot that has gone on throughout those 8 months, and this video is going to be a Dear 2018, Dear 2019 video, where I'm just going to explain everything that has happened in the past 12 months and how it has affected me as a person. This year has probably been the most influential year of my entire life, and the most important, and it's changed me as a person so much. If you had just gone back, if you had known me at the beginning of 2018 and you know me now, I think everyone's changed some, but I feel like I've changed more than I ever have, but all for the good reasons. I wouldn't change anything that had happened in this year for anything in the world, because everything that has happened has made me a better person, no matter what it was. So to start out, in 2018, January, really it was just a normal year, and all went well. I, of course, made my resolutions. I was gonna be a better person. New year, new me, right? Well, I don't even know what I was thinking. Of course I wasn't going to keep my resolutions. No one ever does. I was going to start working out. I was going to eat healthier and everything like that, but who's to say that I did? So, January went by. I was trying to do better in school, and I actually was succeeding on part of it. The beginning of the year, I hadn't have actually tried as hard as I should have, but at the end of the year, I was trying to pull my grades back up. I wanted to make sure that I didn't fail or get bad grades at all. I had a C in a couple classes, and I needed to fix that because I was mad at myself. So I ended up studying harder, and I was working on everything. I was spending less time on my phone, and I actually decided to make a YouTube channel around that time. Into February of 2018, I had quite a few things going on. There was Valentine's Day, of course, and then my mom's birthday is right around Valentine's Day as well. And I was so excited to have my YouTube channel up and running. I was making videos, but I didn't always get around to posting them in time. So what I was doing was I was just living my normal life like a teenager should, you know? And something went wrong around that time. For the past couple years, my breathing hadn't been as good as anything, and we thought that I was struggling from asthma attacks, when in all reality, it wasn't that. We ended up having a mishap and an accident where I coughed up blood when I was getting ready in the morning, and we had no idea what happened. We didn't understand why, because I was a perfectly healthy young lady. And so what we did is we just rushed me to the emergency room to see if they knew what would happen. I ended up coughing up about 4 tablespoons of blood and then stopped. It was like a scene from a horror movie, and it scared me to death. My mom's birthday was literally 2 days later, and I didn't know what to do. None of us did. We ended up going to the hospital, going to different doctors for a month or so after that, and nothing else had happened other than that one spout of coughing up blood, but I knew that my body wasn't okay. Some of the doctors said it was asthma. A couple said that it was probably just a sickness, a pneumonia in my lungs that had gotten a little worse than it should have, and it caused irritation so that I would cough up blood. So they all sent me home, and nothing got done about it. I ended up getting an appointment with a pulmonologist for March, which those are the hardest things that you can get into. So we ended up getting it scheduled and everything about halfway through February, and everything was okay. Everything was calming down, and I had almost forgotten about the terror that I had witnessed and experienced. So the day before my appointment came along, and I ended up coughing up blood again. This time I was in school, so tons of kids saw me. My nurse saw me. my school cops saw me, and we ended up rushing to the hospital once again to see if they knew what was wrong. They sent me home again. If you haven't already seen, I made a video on this earlier in the year, just explaining a little bit had gone on. So the next day, my pulmonologist appointment was, and we went in for that. They said, okay, that's not good, and I ended up getting admitted into the hospital, and we figured out that there was a tumor in my lung, and they just took it out, and they said, okay, it's probably benign. I got a call back 6 days later, and it wasn't benign, it was malignant. This was a mucoepidermoid carcinoma in my left bronchus, and it had been going for the past about 5 years, they said. So that was removed, but they were still afraid that it had moved into other parts of my lungs and that I could struggle from other complications throughout everything. So we ended up having to consult with 2 different hospitals, both Boston Children's and Cincinnati Children's Hospital, to see if they had any suggestions on the matter, because we wanted to make sure that I was not struggling with this any longer, and that it wouldn't come back, and that it wouldn't spread, and that I wouldn't get any more sick than what I already was. We ended up choosing Cincinnati Children's, and in April we had a scheduled surgery for April 26th, where it was a airway reconstruction surgery, and they did a sleeve resection type surgery where they removed part of my left bronchus to make sure that all of the tumor and cancerous flesh was out of my lungs. So far, the surgery has been successful. I had to stay in the hospital for about a month, and locally for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. Before my surgery, I really thought that I was going to die. We went to the zoo the day before because I had pre-ops 2 days before, and I got so close to different animals that I was terrified. But here I am. I survived. When I woke up from my surgery, I was still out of the loop, of course, and my parents said that I talked about so many crazy things, including Cupid butts. And the way that they described it was, I described it as a clock of watercolor butt prints, and for some reason they correlated to baby Cupid. I thought it was in the waiting room, and there was the clock on the wall. And now as the time went by, the watercolor faded. So what we ended up doing about that was just laugh. But to be honest, that may have been the closest that I have ever been to death, and that may have just been something that I had experienced in the moments that they had me put onto bypass so that they could remove part of my lung. And, you know, that surgery went fine. I bounced back better than they even expected me to. And what was supposed to be a month and a half ended up being just a month. And then I went back the week I got back from the hospital area back to my hometown. I got to take 2 AP exams in the exact same week and see all my friends that I hadn't seen in about 2 months, maybe 3 with some of them, because I had left school a little early instead of having to worry about all of that on top of my cancer. And so we just went through that, and I got to see all my friends. I was so excited. Those exams weren't stressful for me because I wasn't worried what I got on them. I was just excited that I was alive. And after that, really, I just recovered for a little while. It was pretty uneventful. I had about a month, and then I ended up going to the Governor's School for Entrepreneurs, which I had been accepted into about 2 months earlier, which was an amazing experience. And I got to meet so many young individuals just like myself who live here in Kentucky that just made my life great for those 3 weeks that I was there. I made so many friends and learned so much about entrepreneurship that I can use my entire life. I loved those 3 weeks, and that was probably the best 3 weeks of my year so far. Well, of course, we only have 2 days left, but when you're saying this, we'll have probably 12 hours left. And I just enjoyed that. It was a relaxation from all the stress I had endured. None of those people understood exactly what had gone on, and they didn't judge me for anything that happened before. And it was just great meeting great people and doing great things. I ended up creating a small business there, which of course we didn't end up doing anything with because we all went our separate ways and lived too far away, but I got to learn so much about entrepreneurship that just blew me away. So that was right after my birthday, my 16th birthday in June. I left for GSC and came back in mid-July. And from there on, just relaxed at home. It was summer break, so what would I really want to do on summer break other than sleep? The fair came along, and I got to go to the fair a couple times, spend time with my friends, and just get back into the groove of being normal. Because when you experience something that makes you mature a little, you don't get to feel normal, and it's terrifying that you can't be just this person that you were before, and that you have to change in order to go through these surgeries and meet these people, go through these new doctors and hear the words cancer and your name in the same sentence. Anyone who has gone through cancer is going to understand this, and I got it so lucky. I don't have to worry about much. I have 5 years of going back for surgeries just to check in and make sure everything's okay. But other than that, so far, it has been almost a year now, and there are no signs of the cancer coming back into my lungs. And that is thrilling, because it's terrifying to go through this, and I couldn't imagine what other people go through, especially those who are in higher stages of everything. My friend, his brother, passed around the same time that I was diagnosed, and I mourn for their family still, because that is the hardest thing that I think anyone would ever have to go through, and I don't think that anyone should ever have to go through that, and have to lose anyone close to them due to something that is a stupid mutation of their own cells. But I wouldn't change anything that happened to me. Absolutely nothing. I would never change myself getting cancer. If anything, I would actually I'm happy. I wouldn't love getting cancer, of course, but I'm happy that I got it and that I ended up changing and growing as a person because of this, because I'm better. I'm not a young kid anymore. I still don't have the mentality of a 12-year-old, which I did have at the beginning of this year. I'm more grown up, I guess, which of course sounds like a childish thing to say, I guess, but I really am, because you don't understand unless you've experienced something really large in your life that there's a high possibility that you won't wake up tomorrow. There's a high possibility that not everything's going to be okay. People die every second, and that's the worst thing. to even think about. But you never think, oh, maybe I will too. There's car crashes. There's different murders. Murder's a less likely way of going, I guess, but it's still possible. There's diseases, there's illnesses, just anything that can hurt you. Common cold could end up ending your life, and that is terrifying. That you could introduce yourself to something at school that could end up being the end of you. So, I'm gonna live everything. I decided when I was diagnosed, I'm gonna live every day as if it is my last. Because you never know when your last day is going to be. I ended up doing quite a bit more this year than I would ever think of doing in a normal year. Things that terrified me and things that just thrilled me to do. When I went to school this year, I studied. I really did great with my grades, better than I have in the past 5 or so years. I tried because I really just want to. I want to be happy with my life and how I do on stuff, and so I'm going to try my best, I decided. And I really am just thrilled with myself doing so well and being able to stay with something. So, 2018, you've been so hard. Every day that I've woken up, I'm thankful to be here, though. Every day that I've experienced, I'm thankful that happened. I've cried probably 40 times. That's an understatement. I've probably cried 40 times in the first 4 months of 2018, and if you're gonna be honest, about 70 in the last part. It has been a hard year, but I wouldn't change anything about it. And 2018, thank you. Thank you for being the year that you have been, and thank you for helping me as a person. But look out, 2019. I'm gonna come for you.